Welcome to Oslo, the capital of Norway. This city has everything from stunning scenery, incredible museums, to Viking history. We have just 2 days to see as much as possible, so we got ourselves the Oslo Pass to maximize our time, and we'll show you how to get the most out of it with extra stops like a hot sauna and fun sculptures. On the third day, we're venturing to the countryside of Norway to trace back my family roots. So let's go explore.
Good rainy morning from Oslo. We made it earlier today. We took an early flight out from Lofton Islands, and now we're here. Today is actually gonna be a lot of fun, this trip, because we are going to get the Oslo Pass, which has cost 76 USD so far, and it's gonna give us bus transportation, and it has like a map with all the different stops we can do. We're gonna try to maximize it, and of course, at the end, I'll definitely show you a map if it was worth it, if it's not, or just share other insights that we have from our day. But we're almost to our first stop, which is the Munch, which is this building right here, and it's actually an art museum, but because it's rainy, it's really busy, and we are unable to go in there until 1 p.m. So it's 11 right now, and we have some time to kill.
It's a little dreary outside. Oslo is pretty cool. We're walking on top of the Opera House now, and all the buildings just have this really unique shapes, and there's fun art everywhere. And there's even the high dive that's going on up for the cliff drivers for Red Bull, so that's actually really cool. And it's just, so far, really fun. It's just so different than up north with all the nature. We're in the city. This is crazy. It's a library. Look at it. It looks like a bookstore. They have cafes, sitting areas, escalators, shelves and shelves of books. It's out of the rain, so that's nice. I always think it's funny when the library becomes like a tourist attraction, like the Boston Library. Like everyone goes there, and this is one place that people say you have to check out. So we're checking it out, but we're not gonna get a book to check out. Get it?
Definitely not the quietest library I've been into. Definitely one of the biggest, but I already found the best section. Manga, solid recommendations, Spy Family, Chainsaw Man, and JJK. Of course, if you haven't, watch or read. Highly recommend. It's really cool. There's people practicing piano, there were people playing shuffleboard, and just, it's an overall vibe here. As fun as the library was, and massive as it was, it is now 1 p.m. and so it's time for us to go to the museum. So we didn't do a whole lot of vlogging in there, but it's either the Munch or Munch Museum. We're unsure.
Edvard Munch.
But he was most commonly known for expressionism, which is basically showing the world from a subjective lens, often distorting it to evoke emotion. And it was just kind of fun to look at all the different floors, the different motifs. We also saw the most popular painting, the Scream, and overall just like a solid time.
And this museum was really big. Like there was a bunch of different levels to them, and like the first 3 were all focused on his artwork, and then it started to show more of like his life and gave a layout of like his home that he lived in to give you like a perspective of where he lived and like different artifacts in his home. And then there's more interactive parts as you get higher up, so that was really fun that they did like interactive art along with his artwork. But it was a really awesome art museum.
It also gives you a really good view of the city too, so if you are up there, you get to take it in. There's a restaurant and bar, which we didn't do.
We left the museum and picked up our stored luggage before heading to our accommodation.
Cool, this is my first time in Oslo.
The Oslo Pass is coming in clutch once again. It would have been $40 for the 2-day pass just in the public transportation, but we're covered. And a single ride is I think 20 krones, so we're sitting pretty right now.
We made it to the Airbnb.
Hey, this place is giant. Wow.
Let's give a quick tour. There's 2 rooms with 2 beds each, a small bathroom, a creepy stairwell, and a large living room with a kitchen.
But that's it with the tour. So we'll see y'all probably when we leave.
And now we're at the Fram Museum.
But immediately you can see like this huge ship in the middle of the museum, and the screens over here display like different weather or events. So just a second ago it was simulating waves crashing down. It's a pretty cool museum so far, but I'm excited just to like read about everything. This museum also costs 140 krones, so we'll tally everything somewhere around here. I'm just excited to explore.
This is a museum all about the boat, the Fram, and it is a famous boat for its polar expeditions, and it was the first ship to go to Antarctica and explore. It was one of the first boats that could go in polar waters with like ice, and it was built very well, and it was used for exploring. We just got to go on the boat and inside the boat, and there was a ton of people that stayed on this boat during their expeditions. It was fun to see all like the different rooms and all the different things that they brought along with them. It was really fun to explore and learn about what it was like to be on the ship life on the polar expeditions.
This section is actually really cool because it's something I never really thought about. But they said they had scientists on the boat that would have to invent instruments on the places because they're exploring stuff they've never seen before. And so they just had to come up and innovate on the spot. Which there were some snow gauges and some ice measuring sticks. I don't know, just kind of impressive to think like what they endured. Behind me he talks about how once they made it to Antarctica, they had to bring a bunch of dogs and sleds because that's how they explore when they get on land. Here's like a decent sized one. Honestly, just different things I never thought about that would happen during expeditions. Make it to Antarctica, we gotta get off the boat, now it's time to explore by sled. That is impressive. This section might be my favorite though because it's photography of like different years and expeditions, and it just kind of gives you like a better look at what life actually was. It's just insane to see like a boat completely covered in ice. Everyone looks so cold and very harsh conditions, so we gotta applaud everyone like who went on these. The museum is great. It's unfortunate that we had to rush through it, but now we're trying to figure out dinner before we go to the next thing, which I'm most excited about, is another European sauna. And it's gonna be Allison and Andy's first time, so we'll see how they react. We were able to see some of the cliff divers on our way to the sauna, but I can see in the distance. We just made it to the sauna, and I am thrilled to be doing another one in a different country, and it's Andy and Allison's first time, so I'm just excited for them. I don't know if you can tell, but it's gonna be awesome. But it's time to go get hot. I don't know how much we'll record when we're actually in there, but we're gonna get hot. After we get hot, we're gonna get cold, and then we're gonna rinse and repeat.
But basically how saunas work is you put the wood in the fire pit, you get the room nice and warm, and then you dump the water on top, which creates steam, and you sit down on the second level if you want it hotter, and the first level it doesn't get as hot. And yeah, this is pretty much how one of the saunas look like.
It's hot.
It feels good out here.
All right.
This feels nice. Oh, that feels good.
Naturally, we got to go from the top. Unpause. Let's do it. So basically, it's gonna be a rinse and repeat. You do that however many times you want, and enjoy and relax. Let's go back in. This is our last event for the night. Tomorrow's gonna be a full packed day of adventure. But until then, good night and see y'all tomorrow!
It's day 2 of exploring Oslo, and we're gonna take the train about 45 minutes outside the city to go to a ski museum first, but we are going to go to a bunch of different places and see as much as we can today because this is our last full day in Oslo. So let's get started.
Just got off the train and we arrived at the ski museum. One of the cool things about coming outside of the city is that we talked to a few people and they recommended that we do go on like more of the outskirts because that's where a lot more nature is. I mean, just look how green it is. So I don't know, just a few recommendations and we're actually kind of out here. with this museum, we officially broke even on the Oslo Pass, which is a win in our book. And the first floor of the exhibits has different like life-size animals. And over here it actually shows you kind of like an extension of the museum we went to yesterday with expeditions. It's like a pickup from that, and it references some of the Fram expeditions, which is really cool. Like just like different interactive games to go around, and how like the gear looks, how the first skis look. Lots of like just different stuff I never would have thought, mainly because US has some snowy areas, but not like, you know, it's part of the lifestyle and culture. So it's just interesting to walk around. But I think now we're gonna go head to the ski jump at the top, which is gonna be a lot of fun.
We're really up here. We're on the top of the ski slope that they all do their crazy jumps off of. I like this.
Wow, this is fun. Wow, the attention to detail is actually kind of fun. Like, oh, I want to try.
Oh, I want to.
Ow. It's super narrow. Oh gosh. Wait. Whoa, you guys get. Woo. Also, like the second floor of the exhibit is really cool because it had like a lot of the Olympics memorabilia, or it almost looked like a Hall of Fame where they would retire different skis and give you like a little blurb about the person. Ooh, another one of my favorite things that I was looking at, skis and gun were used as like in the military as well, which is interesting because now it's like a sport that they do. But like just to see like the origins, again, just something you don't really think about.
That was pretty neat. They're so cute. Well designed for children and big adults and big kids. But now, I think we're gonna go get some lunch and see where the day takes us. Maybe a castle. We made it to the palace. This is where the Norwegian monarch's residence is. And I think he's in there because the flag is flying. But I don't know, I could be making that up. But there's a guard outside, really big area, and just open to the public. Beautiful building. Let's get closer.
We're now leaving the royal palace after walking around the whole building because we're hungry and we're gonna try to find a Norwegian lunch, which is probably gonna be one of my favorite stops of the day.
This is smoked whale. What we were told to do is take your flatbread and put all ingredients, some sauce, a whale, onion, and some greenery on it, and try it.
Whoa, it's super flavorful. That's a nice combo. And the smoked whale itself is actually pretty good. Definitely gonna give it like a 8.5 out of 10. That is awesome.
I got some smoked trout that is from a Norwegian town, and I forgot the name of it. It has lemon, and it's on bread. Should I pick it up like a foot long?
Yeah.
And very delicious. The fish is nice and smoked. It's got some dill on it. Lettuce is phenomenal. A yummy sauce. That's a good smoked fish sandwich.
I got a large word. There's actually two words that I can't say, but it's basically pig knuckle. I've never had a meal served with this big of a knife before. Oh my gosh, that's crunchy. Y'all heard that? It's very crispy, but it's also like super tender and juicy, which I don't think I've ever experienced something like that before. There's a lot of flavors working together. Gonna give this one a solid 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
Yeah, that is awesome. This was easily the best meal I've had on the year of travel. This was a culinary experience from start to finish. I'm still eating, but the whole table loved their meals too. Everyone is happy, we're thrilled, but we're gonna finish up this and then head to our next destination. But honestly, I'm gonna be thinking about this meal even while I eat dinner or later.
We made it to the Maritime Museum, but we only have 15 minutes to explore, so we're gonna speed run this museum, and I'm pretty sure there is a Viking ship being built downstairs.
It's unfortunate that we are rushing, but we did have another win with the Oslo Pass. This place was $140, which is basically around $13 or so. And so at this point, we're just getting a bang for our buck and trying to see everything while we still have the pass. So let's see what this Viking ship looks like. We're at the place that the Viking ship is being built. There's a lot of wood everywhere. It smells like a lumberyard in here. But look at that. Look how long that is. So to give you insight on what it's gonna look like, here's the construction.
And here's a model of a finished version. So they're essentially going to build something like that. This part's kind of funny because we were just looking at a Viking ship, and now it's like, hey, look at all of our cruise ship. Here's Norwegian Cruise Line. It has like all different posters and different models of boats. I don't know, it just kind of seems random because we were just looking at a boat made out of wood, and just to see how much they've evolved.
It's the inside of an old cruise ship. I'm guessing. I couldn't read the sign, but I'm getting the vibes. It's a cruise ship, but an example of what it'd be. They have different rooms, a dining area, kitchen area. Pretty neat.
These exhibits are kind of interesting because it's like a timeline from Vikings to pirates to boatswains to like the naval officers to like how ships were used for like slaves. Also ships were used for like prisons. And that's just like from 1800 all the way down to the thousands. I will say, I wish we had more time in the museum. Apparently it had 3 different levels to it, and I only got to the first floor. Allison made it to the second and third, but they talked about the different like levels of pollutions from over the years, like what they found, all the remains in the oceans. Now, just like a 2-minute walk, we're gonna take a ferry to our next location. The layout of this area is kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie.
Coffee break.
The ferry was a pretty smooth ride, and again, shout out to the Oslo Pass. That thing is coming in clutch. But we also quickly stopped for some coffee on the way to our next destination, which is a fortress. Now, it is closed. There are 2 museums here that we wanted to go to, but they both close at 5, which I guess maybe that's like a downside of the Oslo Pass, because this has happened a few times. Either a lot of them close by 6 and kind of open around 10, but you still get like a pretty good view of the city. And you can see like where like this fortress area, some like the old walls and everything. But it's just kind of fun to explore around. One cool thing about this fortress is as soon as you step in, it almost was like you're going back in time a little bit, and it's kind of just fun exploring or seeing like the different levels or layers, or like how they added on, like what looks newer, what looks older. It's just like a mix of all the different sort of time periods that this place went through. So it's kind of neat just exploring and wandering. We were just up there, and you walk around behind it, and now you're like into like this open sort of like square area where like behind you just looks gorgeous. Pretty fun stop.
So we've been wandering, taking in the beautiful architecture of the city, going down streets that were like, oh, that looks cool. And we saw this building from far away, and we're like, wow, that looks like a really cool building. Let's go check it out. Turns out it's the oldest restaurant in Oslo. Wild, but it does look pretty cool compared to all the other buildings. And we're just taking it slow. Mom loves the manhole covers here, and enjoying our time in Oslo.
So we made it to the cliff diving event, except it's not happening right now. I think it might be done with, but that's where they were jumping off yesterday. And we found out that it was like 90 feet high, which is insane to think about jumping off of that. So now we have to like reevaluate our plans, but still a cool area. And I'm glad we came this way. That's the one we need.
We're about to explore one of the top 5 sculpture parks in the world. I don't know what to expect, except that we're gonna see some sculptures. Apparently some of them are pretty cool. We're gonna walk around, see some things, and see where the night takes us. Look at that other one. Oh, no. I am blushing. What is this?
So we're kind of laughing because the first 2 sculptures we've seen look like this. And I'll let you use your own imagination, but it's kind of comical. What kind of sculpture park has a high ropes course? This is so much fun and unexpected. I will clarify that part of the reason we were laughing is because we were just talking about how it's one of the top 5 rated sculpture parks, and that was the first thing we saw. This wasn't what we were expecting. But this one right here, more or less, closer to like what we had in mind.
This park has some beautiful views, and we came across another sculpture, and it's really trippy, and I can't tell if it's like a 3D sculpture or if it's flat, but it just like keeps like changing, and I want to get closer.
This one is called The Couple, and it's this chrome sculpture just floating in the trees, and the wind pushes them a little bit to almost like mirror them dancing. It's so funny how there's no like consistency with these sculptures. To my knowledge, I could just not know, but they all seem to be like their own individuality, which makes it so like you don't know what's coming up next. I like that. This sculpture, I'll just let you see for yourself. Yeah. Walking through a trail with a bunch of pantyhose lights was not on my bingo card for this year of travel. Granted, a lot of things aren't, so don't take that at face value, but I could not have predicted this one.
There's very unique sculptures.
This one's called The Walking Woman.
Door matcher. I wasn't sure what to expect coming into this sculpture park. There are some very unique sculptures, and I like how they're not all like close together. You have to go like on this nature trail, walk through this beautiful park, and then you just come across different sculptures as you go, and it's peaceful and entertaining at the same time.
One thing I like about sculptures is I feel like they do a really good job with evoking motion or like striking conversation. And it's also really cool to look at the intricate details when you get closer on them. You're just like, how did they do this? How did they think of it? So many questions. But the sun's coming down, and we're excited to show you what we're doing tomorrow, because that's gonna give you an idea of the reason why Becky's family came all the way to Norway. But more on that tomorrow. We'll see you then, and good night for now. Good morning from the Norwegian Museum of Science and Technology. We are actually missing Becky and Annie right now because they're going to pick up a rental car for one of our events that we're going to do later, which again, that's the reason why we came to Norway. So while we wait for them to come pick us up, we're going to explore this nice museum. And this will also be like the last event that we're able to use the Oslo Pass for. We just made it in the museum, and it's already another win for the Oslo Pass. This one costs 190 krones to get in, and I'm really excited to just tally up everything at the end and see how much we saved. And this place is really cool because it's a really interesting way to like lock in some of the previous inventions to show how far we've come as a society. Like, this is a paper machine, which they're not like this today, but like think about how much they had to like run or innovate just to get something like this. I'm excited to explore some more. So this room is what I'm gonna call the medical wing, because they show some optical stuff, old children's museum, old equipment. They had an autopsy table, an old version of an ambulance, and they even had like live bones and organs that were preserved. I don't know if they're actually like fully real, but they look very real. They had like a placenta with like different stages of a fetus and just like different bags of preserved organs. I don't know if I should be like impressed or shocked, but overall this museum has been really interesting so far, and it's kind of cool to look at some early inventions of like popular things that we have today. Like we saw one mask that they had to like put one of the old chemicals on like over your mouth so you'd pass out. But like now we have like anesthesia and other stuff to put us to sleep. I'm just kind of thankful for technology because a lot of the stuff looks painful. And in this room, it actually takes you to a watchmaking workshop where it has like the different steps that would go into like making and repairing. And this one is interesting because it just takes you to the evolution of watches and how they are today. Nothing will make you feel older than seeing a PlayStation 1 controller in a museum, along with like some like the first Pokemon toys. The bottom floor is a lot of fun because it shows different inventions from all over different eras, old plastics, or how they're extracting gas from the Norwegian Sea, and how they clean up oil spills. It's just so diverse, and they have a little bit of everything. This place really does have it all. We got to what I thought was the third floor, and it blew us away. There's plane, trains, and automobiles, and there's even like old 1927 Harley Davidson. And I'm just kind of blown away. Look at this. There's a big train here, cars over there, old police car. This floor is a lot of fun. A steam engine. Like, what's next? Wow. All these flip phones too. Yeah. What? just when I was feeling old, I saw an Xbox, PS2, Wii, San Andreas, Sega Genesis, and Nintendo 64. They even have a game I recently just beat before this year of travel, Resident Evil 5. Highly recommend. Definitely a solid co-op game to play. But I think it's time to go. I feel old in here.
What's fun?
All car stuff. Almost not worth it. Waiting in line for ever.
After about an hour and a half, we have secured the vehicle. We were questioning our life choices for a minute, but we have it. We're gonna go pick up the crew and we're gonna go see a family farm.
And we're out of here. Our historic family farm.
Our historic family farm.
I guess it's not ours, but it's our ancestral family farm.
Yes.
That's it. I don't know if that's what it is or not.
Yeah, our cousin and uncle have done a deep dive into the history of our Norwegian side, and they found this farm in the middle of Norway, nowhere, Norway.
Say that 10 times.
Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna go pick them up. It's about 40-minute drive to get to them. It's a great thing that the car rental took so long because I told Allison, Mom, and Brandon to go to the museum while they waited for us to pick up the car, and they're still exploring. They should be done exploring soon, hopefully. We have some driving to do. Kind of jealous of that they got to go to the museum without me though. Looks like a cool one.
And Becky and Andy just got here. Found Andy and Becky. Reunited.
Was it a cool museum?
Yeah, it did a really good job, like visually representing all the different eras. 10 out of 10 museum.
10 out of 10. We gathered the troops, so we're gonna go on a little Sunday cruise through the Norwegian countryside. Let's go for a drive. We made it to what we think was Mom's great grandparents' home in Norway. And I'm pretty sure no one lives like on this property anymore is what my cousin told us. But it could be wrong. I don't know. Might just be walking in someone's house.
How you feeling, Chris?
Good.
Any excitement, or is it just
nervous.
normal? Oh, you're
Nervous.
Nervous for the car or
I'm gonna
nervous?
feel a tremble when I get on the...
It's just cool to know that we got history here. Different country, thousands of miles away, and just cool to know that we're walking in the same place.
Wow. My ancestors lived here. That's weird. It's kind of cool.
I'd say so.
I'd say this is pretty cool. We started exploring the family land and this car drove up. And who was he?
I was a renter for the farm out here, owns the cattle in the back, and talked to him for a little bit, and his eyes lit up and said, "Hey, come back here with me." And we flipped over a headstone that had the brother, we believe it was the brother, to our ancestor that immigrated over to the States. So that would be Mom's great something.
Great grandpa. I guess.
Uncle? Yeah.
Great
That would be the uncle, yeah.
Then he shared a couple stories of the family that stayed here. The daughter passed away in a car accident. I think he said on the way to her wedding.
A wedding, yeah. And the
Husband died 3 days later, and since then it's sat vacant, as you can tell. But
it's a little overrun,
very,
but wow.
very
Imagine
cool.
living here. Imagine it.
They had a great view for a farm.
They had a great view, but it would be hard to farm.
It would be hard
the
to
history
farm.
out here, the
Wow.
meaning on it. Without this, there'd be no us.
Yeah.
So
True
it's
enough.
very cool. Picked a flower, we're gonna press it and bring it home from the home farm.
It was just really awesome to be here. You know, it might not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but it's a lot to us. But now we're doing our drive back to Oslo. We're gonna pack up and then our trip is over. Such an amazing trip. I don't want it to end, but all good things must come to an end.
Yeah, we love Norway.
I know, I can't wait to come back.
As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all in country number 8.
Woo woo! where
Wow.
we have more special guests.